So, the best place in which you can kind of see this humanistic, individualistic, secular mindset is through the artistic expression of the time, the art, the literature, and the philosophy. So I want to take a look at some examples of that just very quickly, right? So what you have here are two very, very famous, very, very well-known writers and artists of their respective time periods. Thomas Aquinas was I believe he was a Swiss monk who was essentially the number one defender of church ideology. He worked very, very hard to try to reconcile church philosophy with already existing Greek and Roman philosophy and knowledge of the world. Leonardo da Vinci, if you don't know who Leonardo da Vinci is, Lord help you, because I don't know if I can. Go look them up, right? Anyway, so these statements by the two really kind of demonstrate the the shifting mindset during the 15th century, right? So one of Aquinas's very famous quotes is, "To one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To one without faith, no explanation is possible," right? And essentially, what Aquinas is saying here is that the ultimate truth, the ultimate form of knowledge, is your faith in God. Your faith in God is what gives you knowledge, okay? The truth of the universe, whatever truth you're looking for, the truth about whales or zebras or whatever, right? um, that ultimate knowledge of the nature of animals and the nature of the planets or the stars of the solar system must be found through God. That you, as a flawed, imperfect human, are incapable of understanding the ultimate truth, the truth, the universal truths, like the laws of the universe, right? And the only way in which you, as this flawed, imperfect person, can do that is through your faith in God, right? Now, fast forward a few hundred years, and if you take a look at what Da Vinci says, he says, "You do ill if you praise, but worse if you censure what you do not understand." Okay? And essentially, what Da Vinci is saying here is, listen, if you don't know something, don't talk about it as if you do. Don't praise it. Don't build it up if you don't know what you're talking about. But even worse than talking about things that you don't understand and promoting things that you don't understand is censoring, is restricting, inhibiting, discriminating against things that you don't understand. Okay, so essentially, what Da Vinci is trying to express here is that if you don't understand something, go out and learn about it. Be open to it, okay? Explore it, inquire about it, right? And this is one of the shifts in thinking during this Renaissance, 15th century time period, is the idea that knowledge has to be gained through inquiry and action. If you want to know something, you cannot just simply sit and put your faith in God that He will reveal and enlighten you with it. That you must go out and acquire your own understanding. That you must experiment, that you must observe, that you must do all of these things to actively learn and to bring about this ultimate truth and understanding of the laws of the universe, right? Now, another really famous place where you can see this shift in thinking and this shift in mindset is in the artistic expression of the time period. So this is a classic example of Middle Age or medieval art. As you can see, it almost exclusively focuses on religious images. In this case, you have a Bible scene. This is Noah and the ark. But what you are probably noticing immediately as you look at it is there is an unbelievable lack of realism. There is no concept of perspective, right? I mean, if you look at the perspective of this, the ark is somehow sitting behind the waves and the water. There, you've got a magic floating ladder that is somehow leaning on the ark, which is behind Noah and his wife, but it is yet also somehow crossing in front of them, right? You also have an incredibly terrible lack of proportion here, because, at least to me, it seems as if Noah and his wife are larger than the ark. Um, and that's kind of interesting. You also have this person in the foreground, who I'm assuming is a child, who is basically, from what it looks like, got one hand on the edge of the ark, who is themselves larger than the ark. If you look at their body structure, it's just wildly, wildly wrong. If you look at what would be the child's left arm, um, my biology isn't too great, but the bone that goes from the shoulder to the elbow, tibia, fibula, not sure what it is. Somebody look it up for me. Um, Seems to be about maybe 6 inches long. Meanwhile, the other bone, the one that goes from the elbow to the forearm, looks to be, I don't know, 2.5 feet in length, right? So there's incredible lack of realism in this artwork. But then again, here's the thing: is that's not the priority for the culture of the time period. The priority here is not to paint realistic human images, because again, humans are not the focus. The focus is on God. The focus is on the truth behind, the truth of the church and the Bible, and of one's faith. So the fact that apparently there is no light source in this image, that light is just being generated from all around, isn't important, because again, the focus of it shouldn't be the humans. The focus of it should be the celebration of Christianity, right? Now, let's contrast that with an example of Renaissance, 15th century artwork, right? Um, you see a clear focus on worldly, secular situations. In this case, it looks as if you have a prince or a nobleman arriving at a city. People are coming out to greet him. He's got his entourage with him, et cetera, right? Um, and because in this artwork, the central figure is a human, right? Because in this artwork, the central theme is kind of everyday life, secular human topics, right? Um, the need to portray them accurately becomes important, right? So you see more realistic figures. You see people who look anatomically correct. You see proper proportion and perspective, right? You see the walls of the city far off in the background, and they're smaller. Why? Because this artist has a proper idea of perspective and proportion. Things follow that are farther away look smaller, things that are closer look larger, right? But essentially, what you see here is a celebration of humanity, right? Of people and their activities and what they do and their abilities, and all of the wonderful things that they do and say and produce and make happen,